Question 1. To illustrate this point, a senior GRC analyst is Taylor has been tasked with creating a questionnaire-based assessment campaign in RSA Archer for third-party vendors. The campaign needs to ensure that each vendor receives a tailored questionnaire based on their risk profile. Additionally, findings should automatically be generated when threshold scores are not met. She also wants to track responses and monitor overdue submissions. Which of the following actions should she prioritize to meet all these requirements? A. Configure a static question set within the questionnaire application and manually assign it to each vendor. B. Use advanced workflow to assign findings after manual score review. C. Automate campaign configuration with rules, score thresholds, and findings using the questionnaire application. D. Create separate questionnaires per vendor category with no scoring mechanism. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Option C is correct because RSA Archer's questionnaire application allows for automated campaigns where rules can drive score thresholds and trigger automatic findings. It streamlines the assessment and improves consistency. Advanced workflow. B. Adds overhead and doesn't directly trigger findings from score thresholds. Creating separate questionnaires per vendor category. D. Is inefficient and not scalable. Using step questions. A. Fails to leverage Archer's dynamic and automated capabilities. Reference RSA Archer documentation. Assessment campaigns, questionnaire automation, and findings management. Question 2. In the absence of a proper data governance policy, ISTA has imported bulk legacy data into a newly created application using RSA Archer's data import manager. However, users reported inconsistent record field values, failed lookup references, and misaligned calculated fields. Which mistake is most likely responsible for these issues? A. The imported data file was not zipped before uploading. B. Data feed lookup translations and calculation order were not properly configured. C. Users lacked proper access roles to view the imported records. D. Advanced workflow was not restarted after data import. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. When using the data import manager, failing to configure lookup translations or ensuring correct calculation order can cause reference mismatches and erroneous calculated fields. Access roles. C. Affect visibility, not data integrity. Zipping files. A. Is optional unless dealing with attachments. Advanced workflow. D. Does not need to be restarted for imported data unless workflow changes were made. Reference RSA Archer help. Using data import manager, lookup translations, and data feed calculations. Question 3. Among the various access control strategies in RSA Archer Alvarez is tasked with configuring record-level permissions in a custom application. The requirement is that users from different business units should only see records relevant to their unit and role without administrative overhead or risk of exposure to other data. Which of the following configurations best satisfies this requirement? A. Apply global field permissions and assign only read writes to the application. B. Use calculated fields to assign roles dynamically during record creation. C. Implement record permissions using field-driven access control with group mapping. D. Disable inheritance and assign manual permissions per record. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Option C is correct because field-driven record-level access control allows dynamic assignment of groups or users to permission fields, enabling contextual and automated access restrictions. This approach supports scalability and reduces administrative effort. Manual permissions, D, are error-prone and inefficient. Global permissions, A, are too broad. Calculated fields for roles, B, do not inherently map. Record-level access. Reference RSA Archer Administration Guide. Configuring record permissions using access roles and fields. Question 4. The traditional approach to reporting within RSA Archer was limited to static reporting views. However, CAARCHER01 wants to implement a dynamic dashboard that displays KPIs for enterprise risks with real-time filtering and drill-down capabilities for executive users. Which RSA Archer feature provides the most efficient solution? A. Data feed configuration and aggregator jobs. B. Views with global and advanced searches displayed in a custom dashboard. C. Custom script integrations with external BI tools. D. Bulk action configuration on custom report screens. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. If used combined with global advanced searches provide real-time, filterable and drill-down enabled dashboards. This aligns with RSA Archer's native reporting capabilities. Option A is for ethyl-type operations. External by tools. C. Add complexity and latency. Bulk actions. D. Are not reporting tools. Reference RSA Archer user guide. Dashboards if used in advanced reporting. Question 5. When evaluating the merits of calculated fields, Mr. Nakamura noticed that a specific formula field was not returning expected values after importing a large dataset. The formula depends on multiple lookup fields and user reference fields. Which of the following best explains why the calculation failed? A. The calculated field uses legacy syntax from a deprecated version. B. The import process does not trigger a calculation for dependent fields by default. C. The user lacked permissions to edit calculated field formulas. D. Archer's caching feature was disabled, preventing real-time results. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. RSA Archer does not automatically recalculate dependent calculated fields upon data import, especially when the import bypasses triggers. Post-import recalculation jobs or data feed recalculations must be manually run. Legacy syntax A may be relevant but less likely. Permission issues C affect design time, not runtime. Caching D affects performance, not calculations. Reference RSA Archer Administrator Guide. Calculated fields, data import, and recalculation logic. Question 6. Throughout the course of application building in RSA Archer, Mr. Delgado needs to allow analysts to edit only specific fields in a record while keeping others view only depending on their access roles. The analysts must not be able to modify layout or field configuration. Which setup best ensures this behavior? A. Assign full application edit rights and train analysts to avoid editing restricted fields. B. Use field-level permissions in conjunction with access roles to control editability. C. Define workflow-based field edit rules in Layout Editor. D. Duplicate the application with different field edit settings for each role. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. RSA Archer allows granular field-level permissions tied to access roles, ensuring that users can view, edit, or not see fields based on their assigned permissions. Option A is insecure. Layout Editor C doesn't handle permission logic. Duplicating applications. D leads to redundancy and maintenance issues. Reference RSA Archer Admin Guide. Field permissions and access role management. Question 7. Based on the information, RSA Archer System Administrator is Jerry plans to synchronize users from the organization's Active Directory into Archer to streamline account creation and group assignments. She wants to ensure that department-based groups are automatically populated. What must be configured to accomplish this? A. Configure LDAP synchronization with group filters and attribute mapping. B. Use manual group assignment based on CSV user uploads. C. Assign LDAP attributes via email templates. D. Use question scoring to map users to departments. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. LDAP synchronization supports group filters and attribute-based mapping, allowing users to be automatically assigned to groups like departments based on their add attributes. Manual assignment. B is inefficient. Email templates. C. Don't assign groups. Question scoring. D is irrelevant here. Reference RSA Archer System Admin Guide. LDAP configuration for user and group sync. Question 8. The core principles of RSA Archer packaging involve seamless movement of configurations between environments. Mr. Patel needs to migrate an application from development to production without impacting live data. Which of the following should she do to minimize risk? A. Export the application and import it directly into production without review. B. Use the packaging tool to create a package and deploy it into a staging test environment first. C. Back up the SQL database manually in copy configuration XLS. D. Rebuild the application manually in the production environment. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. The RSA Archer packaging tool enables safe and consistent migration. Best practice includes testing in staging before deploying to production, manual rebuilds. D. Introducing consistency. SUL level changes. C. Are unsupported. Direct import into production. A. Is risky. Reference RSA AARCHER Packaging and Deployment Guide. Question 9. Taking into account the complexities of automation in RSA AARCHER is seeing notices that email notifications are sent inconsistently after record updates. The notifications are based on field changes that trigger data-driven events. DDES. What is the most likely cause of this behavior? A. DDES do not work for updated records, only for new records. B. The record updates are being performed via data feed, bypassing DDES. C. Email server configuration is incompatible with HTML templates. D. Users have disabled email notifications in their profiles. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. Data feeds can bypass DDD triggers, especially when not explicitly configured to fire those events. This is a common reason for missed email alerts. DDES can work on updates. A. Email server config. C. Effects format not sending. User preferences. D. Are unlikely to override system-triggered notifications. Reference RSA AARCHER. Workflow and automation events. Data feed triggering considerations. Question 10. In contrast to simple application creation, RSA01 was assigned to build a leveled application that tracks incidents and associated corrective actions. He mistakenly created two separate applications and used cross-reference fields. Why is this approach problematic? A. Cross-reference fields are faster than leveled apps but cause reporting challenges. B. Leveled applications provide better hierarchical context and record integrity. Only cross-reference fields can be used to link records in production. D. Creating leveled applications requires external integration with SUL views. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. Leveled applications are ideal for scenarios with parent-child relationships like incidents and corrective actions. They maintain hierarchical context and ensure data integrity. Cross-reference fields do not provide structural linkage or cascade behavior. SUL views. D are unrelated to leveled app creation. Reference RSA AARCHER Admin Guide. Building leveled applications and record linking. Question 11. In a modern context of application building, Mr. Donovan is tasked with building a custom RSA AARCHER application to track enterprise policy exceptions. He includes fields for business unit, policy reference, justification, and expiration date. His manager requests a mechanism that automatically flags records where the expiration date has passed, a line for escalations. What's the most appropriate method to meet this requirement? A. Configure calculated field that compares expiration date with current date. B. Use email templates triggered manually by users. C. Assign cross-reference to calendar-based application. D. Create new access role to manage expired records. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Option A is correct. Calculated fields can dynamically evaluate expressions like expiration date today, enabling AARCHER to flag overdue exceptions in real time. This is ideal for dashboard visualizations and automated filters. Email templates. B. Do not evaluate logic. Cross-referencing. C. Is irrelevant for automation. Access roles. D. Do not trigger time-based logic. Reference RSA AARCHER Platform Guide. Using calculated fields for automation. Question 12. Given the circumstances, is Becca imported data into a leveled RSA AARCHER application? While validating, she noticed that the parent records imported correctly, but many child records failed to link properly. The child records display as orphaned despite containing matching parent IDs in the import file. Which mistake is the most probable cause of this issue? A. The import was done in two separate uploads instead of using parent-child hierarchy. B. The child records had incorrect access roles. C. The import file had extra columns. D. The advanced workflow was disabled during import. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Option A is correct. In leveled applications, data must be imported in a single hierarchical file, not separate uploads, to preserve parent-child relationships. If done in separate uploads, the child records can't properly link. Access roles. B. Affect visibility, not hierarchy. Extra columns C would trigger a schema mismatch, not orphaning. Workflow D doesn't affect import linking. Reference RSA Archer Data Import Manager Guide, importing hierarchical data into leveled applications. Question 13. As a result of increased regulatory scrutiny, ISTA Ismail's organization implemented record-level access controls in risk management application. However, audit logs show that users from unrelated departments can still view sensitive records. What is the most likely root cause? A. Record permissions are not enforced on dashboard views. B. Field-level permissions override record permissions. C. Permission field was misconfigured or left empty. D. Calculated fields expose hidden data by design. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Option C is correct if a permission field used to enforce record-level access is left empty or misconfigured. Access defaults to broader roles, which may include unintended users. If you say still honor permissions, field-level permissions. B. Restrict field visibility, not record access. Calculated fields. D. Don't override security constraints. Reference RSA Archer Access Control Guide. Best practices for record-level permissions. Question 14. Throughout the course of managing RSA Archer workflows, Cheng noticed that certain records in a business continuity application stall indefinitely at one workflow stage. The responsible users insist they are not receiving task notifications. Which of the following should be examined first? A. Whether the workflow stage has a user group assigned. B. Whether the record includes a calculated field. C. Whether the application has a dashboard configured. D. Whether the layout includes a tab for workflow history. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. If a workflow stage lacks user or group assignments, no tasks will be issued and the process stalls. This is a common root cause of workflow failures. Calculated fields. B. Are unrelated to workflow transitions. Dashboards. C. And layout tabs. D. Do not influence task assignment or processing. Reference RSA Archer Advanced Workflow Troubleshooting Guide. Stage assignment and failures. Question 15. Focusing specifically on RSA Archer's integration capabilities, CAARCHER01 wants to automate daily imports from an external SQL server into a custom risk register application. The data must be normalized and cleaned before entry. Which integration method is most suitable for this scenario? A. Manual import using CSV. B. Database query data feed with transformation logic. C. Archer to Archer feed from a mirrored instance. D. Custom REST API script posted to the record creation endpoint. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. RSA Archer's database query data feeds can directly query external SQL databases, apply lookup translations and normalization, and populate target applications. CSV import A lacks automation. Archer to Archer C works only between Archer instances. REST API D requires scripting, not ideal for daily normalization. Reference RSA Archer Data Feed Manager. Using database query feeds for external integrations. Question 16. From a practical standpoint, Green is designing an access role strategy for a large organization with complex team structures. She wants to avoid role proliferation while still enforcing field-level and application-level controls tailored to business functions. What's the best recommended approach? A. Create unique access role for every team and region. B. Use permission sets and role inheritance with group-based access. C. Apply field-level restrictions using layout tabs. D. Assign application rights directly to individual users. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. RSA Archer supports scalable access control through permission sets, role inheritance, and group mappings, allowing flexible but manageable permissions. Role proliferation A increases admin overhead. Layout tabs C don't enforce security. Assigning rights to individuals D violates our best practices. Reference RSA Archer access control. Role-based access model design best practices. Question 17. With the advent of RSA Archer's enhanced dashboard capabilities, Mr. Alonso created an API dashboard for operational risk. However, some charts fail to populate despite confirmed data in the application. Which of the following is the most plausible cause? A. The report source is missing advanced filter criteria. B. The layout tab isn't configured to display charts. C. The view lacks the display in dashboard property. D. The dashboard has exceeded the widget limit. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Option C is correct. If an view does not have display in dashboard enabled, it will not appear on dashboards even if it's valid. Filter issues A affect results but not display. Layout tabs B are unrelated to dashboards. The widget limit D is rare and typically flagged by its system warnings. Reference RSA Archer user guide. Creating views and configuring dashboards. Question 18. A critical examination of RSA Archer's core concepts reveals the importance of levels in application design. Mr. Zhang is designing an issue management solution where multiple remediation actions need to be tracked under each issue. What is the primary benefit of using a leveled application in this case? A. Allows assignment of different roles to each action. B. Ensures each action can be tracked independently within context of its parent. C. Reduces the need for workflow automation. D. Enables export of child records separately from parent records. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. Leveled applications offer a built-in structure for managing one-to-many relationships, such as issue actions, while maintaining contextual integrity and hierarchical visibility. Role assignment A is not exclusive to leveled apps. Workflow needs C still exist. Exporting D is secondary benefit, not primary. Reference RSA Archer admin guide when to use leveled applications. Question 19. Examining the consequences of misconfigured automation is yielded notices that calculated fields relying on user reference data return blank values even though the referenced user fields are populated. What is the likely cause of this issue? A. The calculated field formula references the wrong field type. B. User reference fields cannot be evaluated in calculated fields. C. The application was not published after changes. D. The layout tab hides the calculated field from display. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. Calculated fields must match correct data types, especially when referencing user reference fields. For example, referencing user ID as text instead of user object causes null results. Option B is incorrect. User fields can be referenced. Publishing C may affect new fields but not blank results. Hidden fields D are calculated regardless of visibility. Reference RSA Archer formula, field design, supported functions and data type. Question 20. The evolution of Archer's advanced workflow has enabled organizations to replace legacy manual processes. Mr. Riley builds a workflow that requires records to automatically transition if a specific risk score exceeds a threshold. However, records are not progressing automatically. What must he check to resolve this? A. Whether the record layout includes a risk score field. B. Whether the transition is triggered by a conditional rule. C. Whether the application is using cross-reference fields. D. Whether the data feed has been refreshed. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. In advanced workflow, transitions that depend on a value, e.g. score threshold, must be tied to conditional rules. Without properly configured entry and exit conditions, transitions won't execute. Layouts A and cross-references C don't affect workflow. Data feed D matters only if feeding scores, not workflow logic. Reference RSA Archer workflow guide using rules in advanced workflow. Question 21. When analyzing access control failures, Koenig observes that users in the compliance department can create new records in the incident management application but cannot edit those same records after saving. The users report that the edit button is missing altogether. What is the most probable reason for this issue? A. The users group was not mapped to the appropriate layout tab. B. The users have create access level but not edit in their access role for the application. C. The calculated field removed the record from the workflow. D. The dashboard view is not configured to allow edits. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. In RSA, Archer access roles govern create, edit, and delete capabilities. If users have create-only rights, they can initiate but not edit records later. Layout tabs say don't control button. Visibility calculated fields. C. Don't impact edit permissions. If used, D. Display data, not grant permissions. Reference RSA Archer platform guide. Access role and application rights management. Question 22. By evaluating RSA Archer's field options, ISGUSH wants to enable end users to select multiple risk categories in single field within the enterprise risk registered application. Each selected category must be reportable for filtering and aggregation. Which field type best supports this use case? A. Cross-reference field. B. Values list. Multiple values enabled. C. Related records field. D. Text field with delimiters. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. A values list field with multiple values enabled allows users to select multiple options from a predefined list. This setup supports filtering, reporting, and aggregation, which is ideal for categorization. Cross-references are for relational data, not lists. Related records, C, are for object linkage. Text fields, D, lack structure and integrity for reporting. RSA Archer Admin Guide. Understanding field types, values list, and reporting capabilities. Question 23. Across different scenarios, Mr. Jamal created multiple calculated fields in a risk scoring application. However, he notices that performance is degrading during record updates, especially with bulk actions. Which design decision is most likely causing performance issues? A. Using too many tabs in the layout editor. B. Overuse of nested if statements in calculated fields. C. Enabling versioning for every field. D. Creating multiple dashboards using the same application. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. Complex nested if statements in calculated fields can create significant processing overhead, especially when used extensively. RSA Archer processes these formulas in real time during updates. Layout design, A, versioning, C, and dashboards, D, can affect UI experience, but not record processing to this degree. Reference RSA Archer Performance Optimization Guide. Best practices for calculated fields. Question 24. During the process of designing a cross-functional application, Solis created navigation menu items that appear inconsistently across user profiles. Some users see applications that others do not, despite having the same group assignments. What is the most plausible cause? A. The workspace containing the menu items was not published to all users. B. The users are on different Archer server nodes. C. The application layout lacks calculated fields. D. Their accounts are synced from LDAP instead of local. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. In RSA Archer, workspaces and navigation menus must be explicitly published to roles groups. If a workspace isn't published universally, users won't see those menus even with identical group assignments. Server nodes. B. Don't affect menu visibility. Layout fields. C. Are irrelevant. LDAP sync. D. Does not determine workspace access. Reference RSA Archer help. Creating and publishing workspaces and navigation menus. Question 25. Focusing specifically on data feed integrations is to Bennett configured a file transporter job to import control test results nightly. However, he finds that duplicate records are created daily instead of updating existing entries. What configuration likely caused this problem? A. Data import mapping lacks record ID matching criteria. B. The feed file is compressed in the wrong format. C. A dashboard is filtering out updated records. D. The calculated field doesn't refresh after each import. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. Without setting a matching field, e.g. record ID or unique field in the data feed configuration, Archer treats all incoming entries as new records, thus creating duplicates. File format B might cause import failure but not duplication. Dashboards C are unrelated. Calculated fields D don't prevent updates. Reference RSA Archer data feed guide of duplication using key fields for matching. Question 26. The prevailing attitude toward automation in Archer emphasizes minimizing human error. Is Ling created a D-editor-driven event to send reminders to record owners when the next review date is 5 days away. However, reminders are not being sent. Which configuration is most likely missing? A. The next review date field is not on the layout. B. The DDE is not set to fire on field change. C. The workflow rule lacks an escalation user. D. The field is not mapped to a calculated field. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. For a DD to trigger an action like sending emails, it must be configured to fire when a specific field changes or meets a certain value. If not set to trigger on change, it would evaluate the condition. Layout visibility A does not affect DDE firing. Escalation users C are irrelevant unless escalations are used. Calculated fields D are unrelated unless they're part of the condition. Reference RSA Archer Automation Guide. Configuring DDSS to fire on field changes. Question 27. The effectiveness of calculated fields in Archer can be reduced if not properly planned. Is to turn and notice that a calculated field referencing user groups was returning inconsistent results for different records. Which of the following is the most probable cause? A. A calculated field references a user field that supports multiple values. B. The user field is restricted by a field permission. C. The application is set to read only. D. The application was updated without publishing. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. User group fields that allow multiple values must be handled differently in calculated fields. If the formula doesn't properly handle multiple entries, it may behave inconsistently. Field restrictions. B. Don't prevent calculations. Read-only apps. C. Allow viewing but not editing, which does not affect calculations. Publishing. D. Impacts visibility, not logic. Reference RSA. Help using user and group fields in calculated fields. Question 20. With respect to troubleshooting bulk actions, the RSA Archer is NADU runs a bulk update to reassign ownership across 2,000 plus records. However, only 1,500 records are updated and the rest remain unchanged with no error logs. What is the most likely reason? A. The remaining records were locked by another user. B. The advanced workflow on those records restricts owner changes. C. The application lacks a record-level permission field. D. Bulk action jobs are capped at 1,500 per session. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Option B is correct. When advanced workflow is enabled, certain fields like ownership may be locked or restricted at specific stages. This prevents updates, including via bulk action. Record locks A would trigger errors. Lack of permission fields C would prevent any updates. There is no strict cap at 1,500 records. D. Limits are based on job timeout and performance. Reference RSA Archer Work Guide. Field restrictions during workflow execution. Question 29. The central argument for using Archer's application builder is its flexibility. Istaperez creates new application and enables versioning for every field by default. Soon performance degrades and storage consumption spikes. What should be considered to improve performance? A. Disable versioning for fields that don't change frequently. B. Remove all layouts with more than 2 tabs. C. Rebuild the application from base package. D. Limit application access to 5 users. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. Field-level versioning significantly increases audit data and storage use. Disabling versioning for fields not requiring change history improves both performance and resource usage. Layouts. B. Rebuilding. C. And user limits. D. Do not solve version-related performance issues. Reference RSA Archer Performance Tuning Guide. Optimizing field versioning for efficiency. Question 30. To better understand the configuration of RSA Archer notifications, is Almuteri designed an alert to notify approvers when a new risk is submitted? However, only some approvers are receiving the notifications. Which is the most likely cause? A. The notification is not tied to a field with group-based permissions. B. Some approvers have updated Archer profiles. C. The application is not part of an advanced workflow. D. The notification was triggered from a dashboard view. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Option A is correct. If an email notification is configured to trigger based on a user group field and that field is not populated or properly permissioned, notifications will only go to recipients who are recognized by the system. Outdated profiles. B. Might explain delivery failures but not selective success. Advanced workflow. C is not required. If used, D cannot trigger notifications. Reference RSA Archer notification guide. User group field dependencies in notifications.